You back with your girls, Meesa and Meah from You Already Know. It's M&M Live Radio. And now, as most of you all know, we just wrapped with February here on the show, where we have a new male guest each week all month long. But now it's time for us to show some love to our ladies throughout the month of March. Listen, y'all, we're going to have some very influential women on the show to inspire and encourage you. And now we've got our very first special guest of the month with us right here, right now.
That's right, Meesa. It takes a special person to use their life experiences and transform them into art to inspire others. And that's exactly what our special guest has done.
Yes.
This lyrical lioness walks in her creative identity with pride and doesn't miss a single beat. Her new album, Soul's Acrylic, is out now. And we're going to talk to the woman behind the art right here, right now. We want to welcome God Over Money recording artist A.I The Anomaly to the show. A.I, how are you?
What's up? I'm doing good. Good.
Listen, we're so happy to have you. Welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us here on M&M Live Radio.
I'm excited to be here. Like
Absolutely.
I said, I'm excited to be able to be interviewed by women. That's very rare.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Now, I'm really excited to have you on the show because you're someone who's so intentional about their art. So I'm genuinely curious when I ask this question, what inspired the title Soul's Acrylic?
Man, I love art. So it's not something that I just say. I love art to the point in which, like, I'm a curator of art here in my city with a art institute called Albright Knox. We're curating an exhibit for 2022. So it's a lot of work trying to find different artists from all over the place and, trying to make sure that art kind of fits together with other artists, pieces and work. But I collect art from local artists here in my city. So I'm a firm believer in if you love it, buy it.
Yes,
Facts. So into the artists that are working so hard, because artists, they work hard for what they do. So I love art. I'm a photographer. I do video. I dabble in painting. Haven't had the chance to really dig into it deeply, but so paint is like my metaphor for like what I do. I look at my life as a blank canvas, and my experiences, my perspective, the things that I've gone through, those are my tools, or my paint, if you will, that I get to paint on this portrait that I was given. So that's how I approach life, and every day, like it's another blank canvas. Let's see what we're going to paint. So when creating this project, I kept that in mind. And so Soul's Acrylic is my soul's art. It's my soul's painting. Every track is a blank canvas, and I'm utilizing, my lyricism, whether it be rap, poetry, jazzy sounds.
Yeah.
That's my paint. I'm painting it on these canvases.
Listen, and you definitely did that so well. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy how like you can say things like paint on these canvases of music and things like that. And it was crazy because when you said that, I'm thinking like, there are so many different songs on the album and things like that were so colorful and painted so differently and things like that. Yeah. So it's crazy how you saying that can be able to transpire through the music. But I love how you brought up you being influenced by, jazz and hip hop, because I want to say that I love that direction that you went in sonically for the album. You know what I'm saying? Like with jazz and hip hop and even the poetry influences as well. You can just hear it just flows so well. What are some of your influences when it comes to hip hop and jazz, and what drew you to that sound of even like, even bringing poetry into the mix and all that?
So I fell in love with writing back when I was young, like 6 or 7. I was really drawing pictures. I had to go to counseling, right? It wasn't like I was writing novels, but I had to go to counseling. I was a foster child. Me, my brother, and my sister were placed in a foster care due to the neglect of my biological mother, and then she passed away when I was 3. So we had to go through counseling and stuff like that. We were diagnosed emotionally handicapped, and this one counselor, I'll never forget, wish I remembered her name, but she gave me a pen and paper and she told me to write down how I felt. You can draw pictures, just write down how you feel. And that relationship started there with the paper and pen. And I began to like formulate, writing from there. So I fell in love with this ability, or this this journey or what have you to use my words to express myself. I can hide behind characters that I created. No one would know that that character was really me. It was just a character I created. So I fell in love with it. Then that developed into, music. Fell in love with music. I'm talking Biggie, Eminem, Jay-Z, Nas, Missy, Timberland, Lauryn Hill, obviously, Raw Digga, Queen Latifah, just these different individuals that I felt were great storytellers, and it was what they were speaking over the music was poetry to me.
Yeah.
And I would write down lyrics, I would try to learn the lyrics, and I would then try to mimic their rhythmic patterns with my own words. And so I fell in love with that. And then poetry, just being able to be free with my words without being, halted by a beat. Just the freedom of poetry that allows you to continue on with your thought pattern without being halted. Like, I got to stay in this rhythmical pattern of 4 beats per measure. I fell in love with that. And, just musicality, like Ella Fitzgerald, oh my God, like she freestyled with her voice, her scatting, that was freestyle.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. So her, Nina Simone, Roberta Flack, Fats Domino, these different jazz, musicians who just like really took you to a place that I really feel they had something that we are slowly shifting away from, and sometimes we get little spurts of it, like a Daniel Caesar, or a Smino, kind of get spurts of it, or an Anderson .Paak. It's like, okay, we're okay.
Right.
We're okay here because there's different individuals like Big Mama Thornton. Just I love music, and I love the ability one has to create a sanctuary with instrumentation and words. I just think it's a beautiful thing. So that's kind of where it comes from.
It truly is a beautiful thing. And I think that's one thing that we definitely have in common, because at heart, we're writers.
Yeah.
And, we found that we fell in love with the writing process and creativity at a very, very early age, such as yourself. And all of the grades that you said that you follow, we can totally feel that as your listeners, as your followers, that you have a great foundation of just lyricists and people that have a way with words and building an entire picture just by speaking. So I can totally relate to you on that. But let's talk about A.I The Anomaly's rollout for the album, because it was absolutely crazy.
Yes.
It was absolutely crazy. Now you've been taking your fans on a journey as you explain the creative process with these episodes that you have on your YouTube called Behind the Canvas, where you would have guests, you would interview them, but also you would talk so much more about going deeper in who you are as a person, as opposed to, so much as an artist. But I realized that on episode 2 of Behind the Canvas, you created a color palette, and I thought that was so dope. Now, why was that detail in particular so important for you to include?
Well, with the name Soul's Acrylic and the theme behind it being that this is my paint, I felt that it was necessary to create a palette, and that palette was composed of my family. Every color was named after a family member or something that really had a huge part of my journey. Like Eastside was a color, and that was green, and Kodak is a color, which Kodak deals with photography. That piece that has a lot to do with who I am, and just my mom, my adoptive mother, but that's my mom, Latifah, she's the color of gold, and then my daughter and my son, and then my husband, all of that, like, because that's my soul's acrylic.
Wow.
That's my paint. That's the reason why I'm able to do what I do. And so they're in there, they're part of this artistic, journey. And I literally put them all on the project.
Yeah.
And I love that. One thing I love so much is details. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love when, artists like you guys as artists are able to be so creative in your rollout and be able to tell as much as you want and be as detailed as possible. And I feel like that just, sometimes it's like the little details like that you want to bring us in on, that just kind of makes the project, it brings the project even more closer to our hearts, because we're able to hear different things, like, you know, the color palettes and how you bring your family into, and how they have a significant role in the colors of your life and things like that. So I don't know, I love that you were able to be so transparent and so in depth when it came to that little detail. Listen, guys, your girls M&M are hanging out with God Over Money recording artist A.I The Anomaly. Now I want to talk a little bit about something that you're very passionate about. I think it's so dope. Let's talk about Get Focused Productions and what that is.
Yeah, so Get Focused Productions is my company, my baby. Oh my gosh. So I work full time as an entrepreneur. And within that company, it's a media arts it's creative media arts company that specializes in capturing, teaching, and giving back. So capture stories through photography and film, teaching young people and older people about the magic of photography and film and how to tell stories through the lens, whether it be through the camera or the pen. And then giving back is, you know, a portion of my proceeds goes to the next generation of creatives, because I think it's important. I was that kid who was able to utilize the opportunities that I was given in order to take me to where I am now. You know, everything that I do is based off of what I learned as a teenager because of the arts and because of arts and education programming. So I therefore build curriculums and programs and try to implement all that I can in order to build the next generation of creatives. So yeah, I do that. I've been in business for 9 years, but the last 3 years I've been full time.
So how has that been, being full time, especially even with COVID and things like that?
Absolutely.
Listen.
Let's talk about it.
First of all, I didn't even know, like when I first, you know, really opened up the business, it was just like, oh, okay, I should get a DBA. You know, I didn't think of myself as a business person. I was really deep into my career as a youth development, you know, worker and in different not-for-profit organizations, building programming. And I always had that thing on the side where I'm like, okay, you know, I love to teach within the schools and I love to capture photography, you know, and things like that. But as time went on, me and my husband began to see like, yeah, might need to go full time with this thing, because it was really pulling me in so many different directions. Like I was in school, working full time, and I had this business on the side. So it was like a lot, you know. And when I was finishing up my master's, my husband was like, listen, when that's done, you should go full time into what you're doing. So it's been a lot. It is what it is. You know, this is the life that I chose, and I'm really happy in this space. I'm happy because I'm doing what I love to do and what I'm passionate about doing. There's ups and downs when it comes to that, but you know, it is what it is. As far as the pandemic is concerned, in the beginning of it, I was like, listen, I don't know what I'm I don't know what I'm
That's real though. That's real.
I didn't know what I was going to do, because majority of my contracts are with schools. When the schools closed, those contracts was like, So schools, you know, so I had to utilize creative problem solving. You know, so a process that I learned in college, really like a serious process that you have to think, in what ways may I utilize my talents and skills in order to make income during this struggling time. And so I turned to virtual space, and so I started to build curriculums that fit within virtual space. And listen, it's been really great. To the point where I am doing programming for schools outside of my city. I'm in Atlanta, and just doing different things that like I love to do, and I would have never thought that, you know, I'd be doing programming for, you know, spaces that I'm not literally there. Sometimes people book me to come to a space, but it has widened my or expanded my business in a sense too, because I'm able to tap into other places. So this one program is going to come here with their students. it's like a residency. They're going to travel to Buffalo.
Oh, wow, that's so sick.
And do a 2-day residency with me. I'm so excited about it. So yeah, it's like, you have to problem solve. You have to figure it out. You have to be creative in your thinking and take the risk and move and make moves. No excuses.
That's so dope. Because I mean, honestly, well, first off, congratulations on surviving during the pandemic, having such a strong support system with your husband, and just being so passionate about what you do. But listen, A.I, you're a woman that has and wears so many hats. Not only are you an artist, but you're also a photographer and writer. You mentioned that earlier. With your latest book, Soul's Acrylic Photographic Poetry Journal, I'm really excited to talk about this. You were able to mend your talents of photography and creative writing into this book as you include original images and poems while encouraging others and your readers to write their own. Now, what made you want to marry these two elements together to make this book actually happen?
I always wanted to create a book, and this is by far not even to the extent in where I want to go with book creation.
Yeah.
I just listen, I'm like, listen, you have birth and you have death and you have the dash in between.
Yeah.
What you gonna do with your dash? I'm just trying to live out the dash as best as I can, with my faith in God and in my art and my family as a foundation. And I just want to give it all that I have. So I said, okay, if I'm going to put out this project and I'm going to pour my soul's acrylic within this, I'm going to give everybody every piece of me. And so I said, as far as merch is concerned, like, yeah, you can do clothing and, there's different things you can do. But I wanted to give people an opportunity to experience me in a different way. Because though, yeah, like I'm a photographer and I do video art, I do video. And I'm a poet, but people who follow me as a lyricist, they might not know about my photography.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to bring them together and bring them into that space and offer them up this canvas, this space in which they can see the photography, see the poetry, and then write their own.
I love that you're so multifaceted. I just think that's so dope. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to bring in, photography and everything else you bring in together, and then being able to include other people into that. And listen, I'm so happy that we're able to have you on the show. But before we go, I know you got a challenge going on, the Grown Woman Challenge. And I know I really want you to talk more about that and tell our listeners about what that is and how they can participate.
Yeah, so I started the Grown Woman Challenge. First of all, I was a firm believer that we needed an anthem. Now, I know there's other anthems out there, but some of those supposedly woman empowerment songs I can't connect with.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't connect with it. I needed something for me as an entrepreneur and as a woman of faith and someone who's doing all that I can as a wife, as a mom. But this is for moms, this is for single moms, this is for women just that are grinding and doing whatever they need to do. Like, we needed this. So I wanted to extend an opportunity for women to speak about what they believe a grown woman is. Because I want to flood social media with these different images and videos of women speaking about what grown womanhood is.
Love it.
Like, what does that mean to you? And so you just create a video. You can get in front of the video and do poetry. You can get in front of the camera and sing. Just express what it means to be a grown woman. You could do a reel or a TikTok showcasing that, hey, you going from one place to the next with your children, showcase that.
Yeah.
Make that be known. And then the winners, there's 2 winners. The first place winner will get a choice of 2 things in my merch shop. They'll get a CD and they'll get a ticket to my Soul's Acrylic Creative Writing Workshop. So I'm doing a workshop where we're going to create poetry and writing pieces, and we're going to create a book just similar to the one that I put out.
Yeah.
And so the second place winner can pick one thing out of the merch shop, and they'll get a ticket to that creative workshop as well.
Love it.
Love that.
Ladies all over the world, make sure you go support. Make sure you submit. Make sure you go be a part of the Grown Woman Challenge that A.I The Anomaly is putting out there for all people out there to participate in. But ladies, make sure you show up and show out. This is your month. We're doing something to support you. But A.I, thank you so much for hanging out with us here on this week's show. But before you go, give everyone your social media so that they can stay connected with you.
Absolutely. So you can go to my website, aitheanomaly.com. You know, I always call that my house, my home. You can get that space. And then you can travel over to my getaway space, which is IG, AI The Anomaly on everything. That's IG, that's Twitter, YouTube. You can check those spaces out. But for the most part, go to my website and you can find me wherever you need to find me from there.
Listen, guys, make sure you're following AI on all social media, and also make sure your ears are blessed with her new album, Souls Acrylic. It's sold everywhere digitally, and also it's March Motivation here on M&M Live Radio, where we're motivating our listeners all month long. So, AI, do you have any final encouraging words to leave our listeners with?
Man, it's the motto that I live by. Pray, push, persevere, and in everything that you do, go all in. You have to, for me, within my faith, praying without ceasing, pushing through some barriers, because we go through them as women.
Talk about it.
And it's really tough and difficult to endure certain circumstances, but you have to push anyway and persevere through it. And in everything you do, everything that you do, no matter what, I believe that we should have a mentality of, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to give it everything that I have, no matter what it is. So that's my motivation.
Sheesh, man, that encouraged me. Right. Needed to hear that. A.I, you are the real deal, my friend. You are such a gem, and your authenticity, it just not only, speaks to who you are as an artist, but also who you are as an individual. We thank you once again for being on the show, and just know that you have our support in whatever that you have going on, okay? And we'll talk to you soon, okay, my friend?
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you both.
Absolutely. Now to all of our listeners out there, keep it where you got it, because we have some new music from A.I right here, right now.
That's right. Here's Freedom's Palace by A.I The Anomaly from her new album, Souls Acrylic. Listen to this one and we'll be right back. You're listening to You Already Know.
It's M&M Live Radio.